Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Ballpark. As always, I'm your host, Patrick Moran, alongside Brendan Cunningham. Today, we're going to pick up where we left off. We talked to you guys last, it was right before the ALCS, or like right at the beginning, I should say. And, the World Series was not underway. So, we will talk about both of those occurrences on this episode since we haven't talked in a little bit. But first, Brendan, how you doing? And how are you enjoying life on your end?
I'm doing pretty good. It's going pretty well for the Pats lately, keeping that win streak going. So that's all I need for me. How about you?
Yeah, that is true. Patriots are hot right now. I'm doing pretty good. Lamar Jackson coming back from injury. That's pretty nice. The Commanders are on right now as well. So we're keeping tabs on football. I mean, no other baseball to watch. Unfortunately, the season's over. So
We're officially
uh,
in the off season.
yes, it is off season time. But boy oh boy was it an electric finish with the final four teams in the postseason bracket. And I think that will segue us right into that conversation. And we'll kick it off with the championship series. We'll get to the World Series game by game. And I think we'll start with the NLCS since it was kind of quicker. I feel like it could be a quicker conversation. Um, you know, the Dodgers won that 4-0. They swept the Brewers. I was sad. I wanted the Brewers to win, but the Dodgers are just inevitable, and there's just no denying them. But it was a cakewalk for them. Brewers never had a chance. It felt like they never really put themselves in an optimal position to compete. And yeah, it was pretty disappointing showing from the Brewers and just some dominance from the Dodgers.
Yeah, it was definitely just an outgun situation for the Brewers. I mean, game one was, I think, a little closer than a lot of us thought it was going to be. But then things kind of came off the rails in game two, three, and four for the Dodgers. So, I think, it was fun for the Brewers. I don't know if I was rooting for them, but it was, a fun story. The best team in baseball. People thought maybe there's a chance. That Dodgers lineup was just too good for them, which kind of sucks to see, but that's just the way it goes.
Yeah. Um, this was, I believe, the Yoshinobu Yamamoto complete game. The first one. We'll obviously talk about the second one in the World Series. Um, but that was pretty remarkable that happened. I forget when that was. If I can find it. Um,
It's game
that was early in the series.
game two.
Okay, so game two. Trying to find the date. But I mean, that was
April
pretty
1st.
incredible right there. I think that's a pretty important talking point. Um, he went 9 innings. Let's get the exact stat line up here. It was 9 innings, 3 hits, a earned run, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Um, yeah, I mean this was like it felt like the start of the incredible run that he was going to go on, and he just dominated the Brewers lineup. Um, and there's some good hitters in there, right? I know they're more so a scrappy lineup. It's not anything flashy from the Brewers, but he just mowed through them, and it was an all-time performance, no doubt. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, phenomenal pitcher, $325 million caliber pitcher to be exact, and he showed why he was that guy in this game, and just the sheer dominance, 5-1. All he allowed was the home run to Jackson Churio, I believe it was, and then the rest of the way he was in cruise control, unbelievable. And obviously, we're going to talk about him again later in the episode.
I mean, yeah, this was like you said, the start of his insane run he's gonna have. Um, just dominance. I mean, a Brewers lineup, like you said, scrappy. Um, it's tough for a team that doesn't really have like a MVP kind of caliber guy. Just kind of a guy that's just gonna hit anybody that he goes against. So when you get a good pitcher like Yamamoto, it's just he's gonna shut things down. That's exactly what happened, and the Dodgers lineup just took care of business on the offensive side.
I think we'll talk about another honorable performance. It was the highlight performance, maybe the postseason. Um, we'll dissect, further when we get to the World Series. But Shohei Ohtani, he in Game 4 had maybe the greatest night in baseball history. It was. Well, let me find it. It was on the 17th. The Dodgers won 5-1 again. Interestingly enough, coincidence. And Shohei Ohtani, let's just run through the numbers here. He was 3 for 3, and he had 3 home runs, 3 RBIs. He walked once, and he did not strike out at the plate. And then 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 10 strikeouts. This man just owned the night. It won him the NLCS MVP just on one game alone. And I don't know if we're ever going to see a performance like that again. This is just the epitome of Shohei Ohtani's a unicorn. This is a one-of-one talent. And, this night was insane. I just remember being in shell shock, just reading the numbers. The stats that came out were super insane. And, yeah, I don't know how to describe it anymore.
Um, yeah, I remember back in like July, we were talking about Nick Kurtz games, maybe one of the greatest games of all time. But then Otani just does this. I mean, this is what you think of when you thought two ways. Just like, what can he do? And then this is what he can do. Just perfect on the plate. I mean, 3 for 3 with 3 home runs. That's how you draw it up. It's nothing more you can really do there. Then on the plate, I mean, then against on the mound, 6 scoreless. I mean, what are you supposed to do? I mean, it's just you're not gonna win that game if they got this guy who can pitch and hit at elite level, never seen before. So I think it's probably the greatest game of all time by a player. I can't think of anything else that's better.
Yeah, and he's doing this in the NLCS, right? This isn't some random game in the middle of May or June
Closeout
that
game.
doesn't. Yeah, it wasn't a game that meant nothing. It was a game that sent his team to the World Series, and it could not have come at a better time, right? He stepped up in the big moment, and yeah, it's just unfathomable. We've talked about Shohei Ohtani so much on the show, and we've always lauded how incredible he is. This is just this is on another planet. Like there's really no other. There's nothing new to say. Everyone knows how good he is, and he still does just stuff that is superhuman. That's it.
Yeah, that's really just it.
And then
If you play like this, it's not stuff.
yeah, for sure. And then what was really interesting at the end of Game 4, when Shohei Ohtani had the all time night, the Dodgers. I don't know if you noticed, they they were celebrating. Well, they got the final out, and they acted like it was just a normal win. That was really interesting. Like they didn't really do the whole mob out at the mound. They didn't do anything crazy. They just acted like it was some run of the mill game in the midseason, like I was describing earlier. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that, but yeah, that was pretty crazy.
I mean, I wasn't watching it live, so I didn't see that. But now that you say that, I mean, that's just what winners act. That's this type of stuff. I mean, they've been there before. I mean, they were up 3-0. It's just that's what you get when you're at the Dodgers and you're used to winning. You take these kind of stuff like winning the pennant for granted. Which a team like the Brewers they would go crazy for. I mean, this would be insane if the Brewers won the pennant. For the Dodgers, like you said, it's just like another series in June.
hmm Yeah, that was something that I watched on a clip. I didn't watch some of the postseason live. I was pretty busy, but yeah, I thought that was really interesting. That's just the winning culture. These guys are winning so often, so much, and it was just they expected to be there. And you know what? More power to them. They did what they needed to do. They wiped the floor with the Brewers, unfortunately. That kind of takes me to the Brewers side. I don't know if you had any last thoughts on the Dodgers in the series before we talk about the Brewers and what they were able to do this year.
Um, no, I mean we'll talk about more of the Dodgers later because obviously they move on.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, that leads into the conversation of the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll give them their flowers. It was honestly an incredible season. You think about the Milwaukee Brewers and their expectations. I think most people had the Cubs winning the division, and instead it was Milwaukee that just continued to be one of the well-oiled machines in baseball, and in a different way, right? They're not spending the crazy amount of money. They're not, a flashy team by any sense, but they're gonna get the job done. And boy, did they do that! They had the best record in baseball. That is just that's the fact of it. And they went 97-65. They put together a really complete roster. The lineup was just gritty and scrappy, just solid top to bottom. And they always produce pitching in the bullpen and the rotation. I think the Brewers had a heck of a season. Right, they kind of fought a little bit in the NLDS. The Cubs were giving them a tough time. Brewers came out on the other side of that, and they just kind of went out with a whimper right at the end there. Not the ending they wanted, but nonetheless, that doesn't take away what they did over the course of 162, which is what they were built for, and I think they did a really good job of doing that.
Yeah, like you said, incredible season. Having the best record in baseball is no small feat, especially from a team. They made it last year in the wild card. They won the NL Central, and then they really lost a lot of pieces. They lost Willie Domez, who was like one of their best guys on the offensive side. He's their shortstop, and there's some other key pieces left. And then for them to just have this season again, coming out of nowhere. I mean, no one expected this. Really impressive. I say it goes to the managing, the coaching this team. It's just they know how to get things done. I mean, that whole lineup. You never think that they'd have the best record in baseball, but that's what good coaching. That's what it does.
For sure. I think one thing to think about with the Brewers, more of an off-season conversation. We'll just kind of tease it. Do you think that Freddie Peralta is on the move for Milwaukee?
Probably. I just think they can't pay him. They don't have the money to pay him. It's just one of the bigger market teams is gonna get him. It's tough. Unless he wants to stay in Milwaukee, then he'll sign there. But another team's gonna offer him a bigger deal, and he's gonna take that. What do you think?
Yeah, I fear that that's what's going to happen. They're just going to moneyball it a little bit. Small market teams have a reputation for doing that. We saw the Corbin Burns situation, right? Corbin Burns kind of got angry that he wasn't getting the amount of money he wanted, and it's a little bit different with Peralta under on a team-friendly contract. I'll look it up, but I mean, yeah, it's. I think the Brewers are just gonna think that they can reproduce it or kind of make him up in the aggregate. So yeah, he signed a 5-year, $15 million extension with the Milwaukee Brewers in 2020. Right, he's got a club option for 2026. $8 million. The Dodgers, or not the Dodgers, the Brewers are absolutely going to pick that up. And, I think that he could be shipped off, unfortunately. And I don't think the Brewers should do that, but it could just come to that, and they'll find other ways to win along the margins. So
Just gotta retool. They're gonna do their thing. They're gonna find new guys to put in that lineup.
yeah. Now we move on to the ALCS. This was a lot more interesting. Pretty much the polar opposite of the NLCS, where this went the full 7 It was a dogfight as opposed to just one team steamrolling another. The the Blue Jays won out. They won 4-3 in this series. We'll let you flush out the emotional side. You have some connections with Seattle. I know you really wanted Seattle to get there. They never got closer as an organization to a World Series. Um, they were one game away and they just couldn't finish it off. And yeah, what are your thoughts emotionally?
Yeah, one game away. It was like 8 outs away. I think it was 8 outs. They had the lead. They were so close, and George Springer came in, home run. Just it stuck. It sucks. They were. I was rooting for them ever since the Red Sox lost. So it was tough, especially because it went seven. And they also had that 2-0 lead to start the series. Win those first two games in Toronto was huge. So you thought when they did that, this was gonna be you can take control of the series, but they kind of fumbled that lead away after being up 2-0, which it sucks. I wanted them to make it so bad.
Yeah, I understand. I wanted them to get there too. Obviously, they're the only MLB team to have never seen a World Series, and this roster was just so good. Right, they had all the pitching in place. We've always lauded the Brian Wu, Bryce Miller, Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, George Kirby rotation. What they built there is incredible. They just kind of needed to find some bats, and they made an attempt. Right, they've gotten Randy Rosarena. They got Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez trade deadline. Um, they made a conscious effort. The cheap 1 year deal for Jorge Polanco really worked out in their favor. He just produced this year, and he came up big in the postseason. Cal Raleigh having arguably the greatest season ever at catcher was huge. J Rod doing the J Rod thing. This felt like the best version of the Mariners that we had seen in a while, and they just couldn't make it. They just were oh so close and fell short. So it was disappointing. Um, the first game was pretty close. I think we had some close games and we had some blowouts. Seattle took a commanding 2-0 lead, and then the Blue Jays came back. They made it 2-1 at one point, and then they tied it up at 2-2. And the Mariners took the 3-2 game, or they took a 3-2 lead, and then the Blue Jays went on to win the last two games at the Rogers Center. I believe that Game 5 was the Eugenio Suarez home run. I don't know if you saw that. That was a insane swing. That may be one of the biggest swings in a singular moment I've ever seen. And do you think that could be the best or the most important swing in the Mariners franchise history?
I mean, that was electric. In T-Mobile Park, Aaron Suarez steps up, grand slam. Um, it was it was incredible. The place went absolutely crazy. It's definitely up there for this franchise. I mean, for a team that hasn't had a lot of playoff success, and that moment right there, and that was so good. Like I said, people went crazy for that. Um, just an ridiculous play by Daniel Suarez. It's a great pickup at the trade deadline. He had a great playoffs. Um, yeah, it was great.
Did you see it live?
I was watching it live. I was watching
Hmm.
it by myself, but it was still fun. I was pretty hyped with that.
Yeah, it was electric. I remember watching that. That place just went into an absolute frenzy, which was really cool to see. But ultimately, they couldn't pull it out. But the Toronto Blue Jays, how about that team from Canada? They went on a run. They put themselves in a really good position with pitching. The bullpen was kind of shaky, not great, but the offense was just dominating when they were right and when they were clicking. They they made it incredibly difficult on pitchers 1 through 9, and Vladdy had continuing that amazing postseason. Any takeaways on the Blue Jays side?
I mean, they got hot, that whole lineup. That's kind of what it's about in the playoffs. I mean, who's gonna get hot? I mean, sure they were the best team in the American League, record-wise, but it was a close. If you look at everyone's roster, people might say that the Mariners roster is better, but the Blue Jays just got hot. I don't know what happened. They just the guys, Ernie Clement, and like the most hits in a postseason. I mean, it was insane. Vladdy was ridiculous. You couldn't get Vladdy out. It felt like the whole series you were just afraid of him. So that was insane. It was everybody. The whole lineup was just playing out of their minds. The pitching was also very good.
Hmm.
I know Kevin Gosman had a lot of good games, so it was all around Blue Jays very good.
Yeah. You mentioned Cosman. He was pitching really well. Trey Savage, when he was going,
God,
he was
God
really
love Trey
going.
Savage.
Yeah. Well, Shane Bieber was pitching well when he was right. They had some pitchers that were getting hot at the right time, and Trey Savage absolutely cooked the New York Yankees, which obviously we love to see as Yankee haters. But no, I'm kidding. The Yankees are okay, but yeah. Although we kind of are Yankee haters as journalists, we
Yeah,
can't be,
we
but
are.
yeah, professionally we can't be, but as fans, of course we are. That's what I meant to say. But yeah, he shoved against the Yankees. Had another great start against the Blue Jays. Was working in and out of traffic. The Mariners missed some opportunities throughout the series, and you know that the Blue Jays had some good pitching performances, and they really needed that. And similar to with the bullpen, right? They just had some guys throwing well at the right time. Um, I think a guy I forgot to mention, George Springer. He was taking a hit by pitch off the knee. It was looking really ugly. The Mariner fans were, I don't even know if they were cheering or booing or what was going on, but John Schneider not happy about it. And then George Springer has that moment in Game 7 where he gives them the lead late, and that ultimately wins them the pennant. The George Springer narrative was insane, and he had a great postseason as one of the greatest postseason performers of this generation.
Yeah, we know George Springer's clutch. I mean, that whole year, great year for him, and then postseason finished it off. Obviously, you couldn't get the job done, but it's still he was a problem in the Mariners series. And that home run was crushing, crushing. Oh man, it was terrible.
Yeah, no doubt. Um, but it was just the top to bottom effort by Toronto and a great effort by Seattle as well. I think that's all I got on this series, unless you had anything to add.
No, that's all I got. I'm ready to get the World Series.
Yes, it is time. The World Series breakdown. You said game by game. You just want to take it game by game.
I say game. You fine with that? Let's go game by game.
All right, let's do it. Dodgers won game one, 11-4. Um, or no, Blue Jays. My bad. Blue Jays won game one. I misread that. 11-4. Sir Anthony Dominguez with the win. Blake Snell with the loss. He kind of got racked in this game. Gave up 5 earned runs in 5 innings. Not his greatest performance. 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. Some other guys kind of got blown up. Emichi and Anthony Bonda each giving up 3 runs. They had to clean it up a little bit, but the Blue Jays had themselves a decent enough night. Trey Savage, 4 innings, he gave up 2 runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. That does the job in the postseason. And then Dodger bullpen, or not the Dodger bullpen, the Blue Jay bullpen did their job the rest of the way. So yeah, that was game one. I don't remember if there was anything that stood out about game one. Kind of happened a long time ago. It just kind
Yeah.
of the Blue Jays just dominated this game really.
I mean, yeah, just good performances. Ashton Barger, 2 for 2 with 4 RBIs. He had that home run, and then Alejandro Kirk 3 for 3 with another home run. I mean, just like you said, Blake Snell, not his best stuff. I mean, 5 innings, 5 earned, and the bullpen, which you know is a problem for the Dodgers this year. Sheehan and Banda in the same inning, 6 runs. So that kind of killed him after that. It's tough to come back from that, but that was a big tone setter for Blue Jays. I mean, we going into the series, we thought Dodgers the favorites here. Everyone thinking Dodgers are gonna win this. And game one win, kind of convincing for the Blue Jays, was a kind of wake up call for all of us.
That's true. I would definitely agree with that. I mean, both of these bullpens not that great coming into the series. It was really going to be about the offenses and the starting pitching, what those two units could do. And in this game, it was just Blue Jays jumped on them. This is like just the Blue Jays offense at their best. Where 1 through 9 they're attacking, and this was a pretty exciting game one for them. You definitely said it best that they set a tone, and a lot of people were expecting the Dodgers to just kind of rule the series. Blue Jays definitely planted their flag early.
Yeah, all right. Moving on to game two on Saturday, also in Toronto. This was the Dodgers winning 5-1. It was, let me see, pull it up. Um, Yamamoto with the win. That was a complete game that you mentioned earlier.
Second complete game,
Um,
yep.
his second complete game of the postseason. And then Kevin Gosman, who was really good too. He went 6 and 2/3, 3 earned runs, 6 strikeouts. 2 earned run balls kind of killed him. But it was a great outing from him. Offensively for the Dodgers, Will Smith had a great game. He was 2 for 4 with a home run, 3 RBIs. And then Max Muncy with the solo shot. That was their offense. And then for the Blue Jays, offense. I mean, Yamamoto just shut him down. That's just kind of what happened. He was unreal in this whole series, really. So they just couldn't get anything going. A few hits on the lineup, but guys, if you just look at the bottom half of that lineup, it's goose eggs all around. So it's tough for that lineup when you have this guy going 9 innings.
Yeah, I mean, we hinted at it earlier. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, second complete game of the postseason. Just an incredible run from him. The 8 strikeouts just completely owned the Blue Jays offense, just like the Brewers. And those are two good offenses from top to bottom, like we've talked about. And Yamamoto, he will not be denied on the mound. Um, there's not much else to say. I mean, Kevin Gosman pitched really well. He had a really good postseason, but Yamamoto is just Yamamoto. That guy was just pitching like nobody was business, and you're gonna win these games when your starter's doing that. You mentioned the Will Smith 3 RBIs, Max Muncy getting in on the action, all that good stuff. Um, yeah, it was just another Yamamoto show. I think that's all there is to say on that. Um, move on to game three.
Yeah, game three, probably the second most iconic game in this series. The 18 inning, just absolute marathon of a game. I didn't watch the whole thing. I don't know if anyone could watch the whole thing. It didn't go to like 3 a.m. or something.
Something like
Um,
that.
Actually, the second 18th inning game of the postseason. I watched the first one, Mariners Tigers. It did not go to 3 a.m.
Mariners, Astros.
Oh, was that? How long was the Mariners Tigers one? I forget.
That was 15 innings.
15. Okay, yeah. I actually did watch the Mariners Astros one, but that's beside the point.
That was back in
Um,
22, I think.
yeah, that was when the Mariners broke the streak and they made the playoffs.
Yep.
So this was, pitchers. It was really everybody. I mean, not even kidding. If you go to the box score, you will see. It looks like 9 names for the Blue Jays. Is that 10? No, 9 names, then 10 names for the Dodgers. So just
I'll take your
everybody
head
got in
count.
there. Um, it came down to Freddie Freeman at the end. But we'll kind of come to that. So just started. It was Glasnow versus Scherzer. Both of them did pretty well. They both went about 4 innings. They let up 3 runs. Scherzer let up 3 runs. Glasnow 2 runs. And then it just kind of turned into a bullpen game. I mean, guys were just getting innings, a few runs here and there, and then the tie game. It just kept on going. I mean, I wasn't, like I said, watching the whole thing, so I can't give a full breakdown. I don't know if you got in there.
I don't think I watched this game.
No,
Yeah.
it is interesting how they got Clayton Kershaw in there for
one out.
1 out. That was I like that. That's actually technically his last game of his career. But
Yeah.
it was Freddie Freeman, just like last year. If you remember against the Yankees, he had that walk off and was that game one. So he did it again, and also Shohei Ohtani, 4 for 4, 2 home runs and 5 walks.
Yeah.
Just another great performance. That's 9 plate appearances. He got on 9 times with 2 home runs and 3 RBIs. Um, maybe that's his second best stat line in the postseason, which is insane. Dude's ridiculous. What a great game from him. Teoscar Hernandez was 4 for 8, which is ridiculous to say. Um, so that happened. You got anything on this game?
Yeah, I think for Shohei Ohtani, he set the record for most times on base in a single game. If I'm not
Right.
mistaken, he had something like that. He was on some all-time lists, but yeah, this is a classic. This was a marathon. Freddie Freeman did it again. I mean, that guy had a walk-off homer off lefty last year in the World Series. Same thing this year. Really cool story. I mean, Will Klein getting the 4 innings there. 5 strikeouts, 0 runs put up. I mean, this guy kind of came out of nowhere. He just, has a humble background, not really much to say on him. Not really any pedigree. A fifth round pick in 2020, and just someone that the Dodgers, I'm sure, weren't really expecting a lot from. Gave them 4 huge innings, and he was kind of in a minor trade to the Dodgers back in this year, 2025. And for him to come up big, really cool story. So yeah, 19 pitchers used in this game, pretty insane. There were some standout performances, but ultimately, Freddie Freeman is the man when it comes to walking off games off lefties. So
He's just
yeah, that's pretty much
clutch.
all I got.
Dude's clutch.
Yeah. Game. What is this game?
4.
Game four. Uh, Blue Jays win 6-2. This one was in L.A. Shane Bieber with the win. Shohei Ohtani with the loss. He gave up 4 earned runs in 6 innings, 6 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, and a home run allowed. And Shane Bieber on the other side went 5 and a third, 4 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Able to just do a job, get his team a win. Blue Jays are able to plug some arms in there, get the job done. And coming off a game like that went 18 innings, the fact that the Blue Jays were able to bounce back and win it, tie the series up, that was a really good win, probably the best win that they had in this series. Nathan Lucas had 2 hits in this game. Vladdy, of course, 2 hits as well. Addison Barger continued to hit. That guy was raking throughout the entire postseason. Ernie Clement continuing to scrap his way to success. Vladdy had a home run off Ohtani. I believe I did see that, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah. This was pretty much just a nice Blue Jays win, a statement win that they were just not going to hang over from the marathon that they played the night before.
Yeah, I know. Joe Ohtani started this game, which is kind of crazy considering he just stayed up till 3 a.m. Playing a full baseball game.
I think he was stretching out his calves on like the 18th inning game.
Was he just getting ready? That's insane.
Yeah.
So the fact that he went 6 innings, 4 runs, might not look great, but for the circumstances, it's pretty great for him. Um, yeah, like you said, Shane Bieber just kind of got the job done. 5 and a third, 1 run, 3 strikeouts. That's just that's just getting the job done and getting the win. Um, Vladdy was great, 2 for 4 with the home run. He's been good all year, and then this series. I mean, after this point, he was batting 419. So that tells you everything you need to know. Um, yeah, I mean, it was Dodgers got beat by Shane Bieber.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. They rolled over a little bit, which is understandable, but the Blue Jays just to come out and win that game, really nice job. And now we move on to Game 5. This one, another Blue Jays win, 6-1. They continue to win on the road in LA. Blake Snell once again kind of touched up, gave up 5 earned runs this time into 6 2/3. His second loss of the series. He did strike out 7, but he walked 4, gave up 2 home runs. It was the leadoffs to Davis Schneider and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I don't know why they were pitching Vladdy at that point, but here we are. I guess it didn't matter. The Blue Jays just continue to hit up and down the lineup. That was the story. So Bichette had an RBI as well. Ernie Clement RBI. Our Addison Barger once again with 2 hits. Dodgers not much to say. Teoscar Hernandez 2-hit day, pretty nice. But yeah, not much going on with their offense. This was, now that I'm remembering this game, the Trey Savage show. 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run it was earned, 12 strikeouts, only 1 home run. That was in just unmatched postseason performance from Trey Savage. I mean, that it really put into perspective his journey to the big leagues this year, starting out in low A after being drafted in 2024 and climbing all those levels to get to the big leagues and at the end of the year and shoving in a World Series game. That was pretty much how he went out this year. It was his last start, in 2025. And boy, was it a good one. An all-time postseason pitching performance. And, that was able to lead his team to victory.
Yeah, MVP definitely goes to him this game with the 7 innings and 12 strikeouts against a lineup like the Dodgers full of MVPs. Is insane out of the rookie. Someone that young to do that. It's incredible. I mean, I was watching a little of it. I mean, he was just hitting that slider down. The Dodgers kept on swinging. They just kept on swinging. I don't know. They kept on fooling. It was insane. Um, so that was insane. I said insane like 3 times. But Dodgers got shut out. Lineup went cold. My boy Mookie 0 for 4. Otani 0 for 4. Freddie 0 for 4. I mean, that's their MVPs. If that happens, it's going to be tough for them to lose. I mean, tough for them to win.
Yeah. Certainly just some pitching performances that you're not going to do a whole lot when pitchers are doing that. And Trey Savage cementing an early legacy. And with that, we move on to Game 6, headed back to the Rogers Center to wrap up the series.
Yeah, this was a little surprising. I mean, now Blue Jays could win the series here. They were starting to get some things like this could actually happen for the Blue Jays. I didn't watch most of this game. I watched the end of this game. Because this was on Halloween, right? So I came home and I was watching the end of this game, and it was insane. I know Mookie Betts had a game; he had 2 RBIs, which was I love to see that. That was his big moment for the series. In the game they won 3-1. So those 2 RBIs from Mookie, that was clutch. I'd love to see that. But it was really the end of this game was the big thing. I mean, let me pull up the play-by-play, but I remember, I think it was second and third. It was bottom of the ninth. Blue Jays scored here, or it wasn't Blue Jays scored here. They win. So it was 3-1. Yeah, they had second and third, and Jimenez lined what looked like was going to be a hit, but Kike Hernandez, Red Sox legend, was playing and he caught that ball, which was like, wow, why was he playing so in? and then he threw it back to second base. Miguel Rojas with an incredible pick to save the game and get out Addison Barger, who's way off the base for who knows why, to get the final out, which was an insane way to end a Game 6 of a World Series.
Yeah, I remember watching that. I got home from a high school football game. I was working on, camera operating for a broadcast at the Matha, and um, you know, I caught that tail end. I saw that play, and that was crazy that that game ended that way. And Addison Bart, I will say it's kind of a tough read for him. You don't know if it's going to fall. It was such a low liner, it felt like. But Kike Hernandez just charging in. Red Sox legend Kike Hernandez, by the way. And just, he had it perfectly made. He just came in, made the catch on the run, and he fired it to second base. And you mentioned the incredible pick by Miguel Rojas at the end to save it. That's a costly way for the Blue Jays to end the game that way. But the Dodgers were able to capitalize, and of course, this series had to go 7. Uh, Again, amazing pitching performance from Kevin Gausman. Despite giving up 3 runs, that guy was doing a hell of a job, just like he had all postseason. But Yamamoto again, just that guy is a wonder. He continued to shove. Just yeah, every start he made was just impeccable, and he did it again. So they were able to get it done. Tyler Gladys now coming in right at the end. Dodgers really leaving it all out there, and that led us into the 2 best words in sports. Game 7.
Yep. All right, Game 7. This was a game I did watch the full game. It was the only game that I got to watch the full of it. If I could just get to it. It was once again back in Toronto. It was a throwover game. Blue Jays started off first. They had the 3-run home run by Bo Bichette, guy who barely made the roster, being injuries. He got in there. He's batting third, and he just what a play hit by him. Otani got the start, and he was struggling. You could tell right from the game he didn't have it. And Bo Bichette took advantage of that. That 3-run bomb really put him ahead first. I don't know. Were you watching this game for that part?
I saw the Bo Bichette home run. I tried to stay up for a majority of it. I really wanted to watch Game 7, but ultimately I did fall asleep. Woke up for that crazy play at the end, or the crazy force out at home, which we'll get to. But yeah, I tried my best. But you're right, the Bo Bichette home run, awesome moment for him. Just kind of forcing himself to play, leaving it all out there, and having that in front of the home crowd. Pretty amazing. And if that's his statement mark as a Blue Jay, pretty special.
Yeah, that's right. So kind of the rest of the game, for a team having a 3-run homer in the third inning, that might kill a team's kind of energy in a Game 7. You're away right now. The crowd's going crazy, but the Dodgers, you kind of stayed strong, and they just started to chip away. Teos Hernandez, fourth inning, sacrifice fly, scored a run, 3-1. Again, Edmonds, sacrifice fly, Bet scored, 3-2. And then it's a 1-score game, and then Jimenez, he did doubles and then Clement scores, it's 4-2. Which, by the way, Ernie Clement, what an amazing series from him. What a great run. I think I mentioned it earlier, but he had a great postseason. Couldn't get the guy out. And then, after that, they went up 4-2. It's 6 went by for the Dodgers, 7 went by for the Dodgers, and now it's like the 8th inning, and you're wondering what's going to happen. Are the Blue Jays going to win this thing? And Max Muncy steps at the plate, hits that home run, which you thought, is that going to go foul? It was so close, but he snuck it in, bombed to right field to put the Dodgers within 1, going into the bottom of the ninth, or top of the ninth, sorry. And now I was doing the math. I was watching live. I was doing the math. I was like, wait a second. That means Shohei Ohtani can get up. That's gonna get him. He's gonna get that final out if necessary. At least they get that. First two guys doesn't matter what happens. But then top of the ninth, Miguel Rojas, one of the clutchest home runs of all time. The Blue Jays were 2 outs away. He steps up there, hits one to left, gone, tie game. He's going crazy. I mean, who saw that coming? That was insane. Watching that live, you thought it was over. And Otani actually flied out. He didn't have a great game seven. But Rojas, big moment from him. Biggest home run of his career. Probably the biggest moment of his career he's gonna have, tying a run in Game Seven. That's how you draw it up right there. And then the Dodgers they shut it down. Pitching just the it was more actually the defense. That was the you want to go to that play that happened.
Yeah. Right. I believe it was like the bases loaded. You had the ground ball to Miguel Rojas with 1 out, and in a perfect world to get the double play, 2 for 1, you get off the field, but he kind of double clutched the ball, and his only option was to try and get the out at home, and he did get the force out at home. Will Smith, his toe pretty much was on home plate. It was oh so close, but I do believe it was the right call. I think they reviewed it and it was upheld. So insane moment in extra innings, nonetheless.
It was insane. It was about a few like centimeters, like so close. He was on the bag. He took it off for like half a second, but then he put it back down right before Kenneth Falesso scored. So the Blue Jays were that close to winning the game. Um, I mean, which would have been a kind of a crappy way to win it, but still, you want to win it. But then the next play I feel like isn't going to get talked about was the fly out to the
Mm-hmm.
outfield where
Yeah.
DK was playing once again very shallow, just like last night. And Clement just hits it over his head, and I'm watching it. I'm like, he doesn't have this. I'm looking at him. I know this. Like he's not there. And then Paez, when they subbed in that inning, I don't know why. I think Edmund played the whole game. They subbed in Paez. He comes out of nowhere and he just like pushes Kike out of the way. Red Sox legend. And just he makes that catch. No communication at all, but it doesn't matter. Got the out. Which was another very, very close play for the Blue Jays winning that series. Um,
Yeah.
and then just going into extras, 10th inning, nothing much. Guys, Blue Jays went 1-2-3. A little something happened for the Dodgers, but no score. Then 11th inning came around. Will Smith, homer again. Just clutch Will Smith. He had a great series too to put the Dodgers up. And then Yamamoto came in, shut it down, the MVP, which is insane coming from a guy that just pitched the other day, 96 pitches. He came in and he did it again to pitch for the champ and for the win with that double
Yep.
play to after Guerrero doubled to lead off the inning. It was close.
It was just a wild sequence of events to wrap up the game. Yeah, I watched that Andy Pages fly ball, and I thought similar to you, it was over his head. I didn't think they had it, but then they kind of collided, and thankfully they didn't drop it. Because if they did, Blue Jays won the World Series. But they Andy Pages took some authority. He caught the ball right at the wall. It was a really risky play, but here we are, and the Dodgers got out of that unscathed, and it was just there were some all-time moments. The Miguel Rojas, that's gonna go down in playoff lore. Such an unlikely guy like him, just a glove first player, to have that type of moment was he's never gonna have a moment like that again. Um, the Will Smith home run was huge in extras. The double play to wrap it up. Yamamoto just giving it all to the Dodgers in whatever capacity, and they went home as back-to-back champs. So that is pretty special. This is just the Dodgers' time to rule. We're just living in it, and it was such an effort. I don't think anyone thought this series was going to go 7, but The Blue Jays did all they could. They were 2 outs away and just they couldn't put the finishing touches on. And it was an amazing run for a team that was expected to be in 5th place by the end of the season. Wound up going to the World Series and putting up a hell of a fight against the Death Star, as some might say. But yeah, the Dodgers just an unbelievable finish, and they're once again World Series champions. And your guy Mookie Betts, 4th World Series title. That's the most among active players. Per the usual, we will give the Mookie Betts praise segment real quick.
Clap it up.
Clap it up. You know what, Clay? Yeah. Great point.
Yeah, no, it felt wrong rooting for the Empire, the Dodgers, because it felt like everyone was hating on them, the ruining baseball. But I always got to root for my guy, Mookie Betts, favorite player of all time. I wanted him so bad. He got that foul double play, which I love to see it.
Oh yeah, he
Ring number
literally ended the
4.
game.
He did. Ring
Yeah.
number 4. Unfortunately, only one of those with the Red Sox, which kind of sucks. But still, I love it. I love it for Mookie. I want more from him. I only want the best for him. So I hope he wins again.
Yeah. He's a heck of a player. I think he's one of the greatest players of this generation. Probably a first ballot Hall of Famer, I would say. I don't know about you.
Yeah. But then also the other storyline, Clayton
Mm.
Kershaw going out with the ring.
That's right. I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. Clayton Kershaw, his 3rd ring with the Dodgers, and that's how he retires. Honestly, for him individually, similar to Mookie Betts, that is awesome. The fact that he gets to retire on that note. He is. We talked about him as he made his final start at Dodger Stadium in the regular season. He is truly one of the greatest pitchers of all time, one of the greatest pitchers of our generation, and just for him to reap the rewards of another championship, it's awesome, and that's how he's going to retire. So, nothing but love for Clayton Kershaw. Super awesome that guy got to win one more time.
Yeah, that's a great way to go out, winning, celebrating one last time with the team. That's how you want to go out. So that's a great moment for that first ballot Hall of Famer.
And he spent his entire career with the Dodgers. It's an organization that meant so much to him, and just for him to see the success on the back end, really really cool. So
Yeah, that's for sure. His number would definitely be retired at
no
the
doubt.
Dodgers.
Yeah. All right, that's pretty much it. Last concluding thought. It is a little bit negative, but it was a thought that was put on my radar. What does this mean for a potential lockout after the 2026 season? Yeah.
Yeah, so now the Dodgers win again. The push for a salary cap by the owners is going to happen. Players don't want it because that means they're going to get paid less. So we're probably approaching a lockout. My thoughts, I think there should be a salary cap. Is it probably not the benefit of the players, but just for the small market teams, it's just tough for them to compete with the team like the Dodgers. I mean, you could say they almost lost, but the Blue Jays are also a very expensive team.
Yep.
They spend a lot of money, so that's just kind of the name of the game. It's just who spends money. So, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate there are going to be some tough conversations with the players' union and MLB. I hope they get them resolved because obviously we want baseball to happen. We don't want to go through another lockout, but unfortunately it might just happen. And to your point, you brought up the Blue Jays were not a cheap team. I looked it up today. They had the 5th highest payroll in Major League Baseball. So
There you go.
I will say not as much of a Cinderella story as they may seem. I don't know how you feel about that, but
Yeah, it kind of goes on the radar. Blue Jays are a very wealthy team. They spend
yeah.
money. Uh,
I think based on the expectations for them, right? I think everyone was predicting them to finish last in the AL East, and in turn, they have the best record in the American League, and they go on to the World Series. They make an incredible run. Like, that is an underdog story, but like the Blue Jays still had, paid people. So I don't want that to go unnoticed that they were, truly a power of friendship type of team, so to speak.
Yeah.
So
Uh, let's just hope the lockout ends quickly.
yeah, all we want is baseball as fans and as podcasters, but that'll be it. An amazing 2025 season. There were definitely some great things. There were some not so great things for me, but that's okay. That's a personal issue. I had a lot of fun just enjoying the baseball this year. It never gets old, and um, yeah, that's our program. Brandon, any last thoughts before we wrap it up?
That's it. I think that was a fun season. Definitely one of the best World Series I ever seen. Maybe the best World Series I ever seen. Behind the Red Sox World Series, of course.
Yeah.
Um, but it was definitely a thriller.
Top top 10 World Series of all time. Do you think?
Probably. I mean, Game 7, one of the only like 3 Game 7s to go to extra innings. That's pretty good in an 18 inning game. Um,
Yep.
that's one of the best of all time.
And that Game 7 too was just
Thriller,
unmatched.
thriller. I
Yep.
mean,
Oh,
back
and
and
we
forth.
forgot. We forgot to give this man his flowers. Yoshinobu Yamamoto was named the World Series
Yep.
MVP, which makes so much sense. That guy threw, I mean, really just throughout the postseason, he threw like, a master of his craft, uh, you know, just an all time postseason performance from him on the mound. And, I think he deserved it. It's always hard for pitchers to win stuff, but I'm glad that he was able to do it. Just he was pitching out of the bullpen. He was throwing complete games. That guy is truly amazing as a pitcher.
Yeah. He was the second Japanese-born player to win the award. What a great series from him. He was just electric. You couldn't stop this guy the whole series.
Yep.
Definitely deserving of it.
So that is it. That was our. We had to include that talking about the World Series MVP, and that's our show. Talking about the championship series in both leagues as well as the World Series. For the content we did bring you guys, we had a ton of fun doing it. It was a great 2025 campaign, and we're excited for what the offseason will bring along with the 2026 season. We'll be doing the best we can to get some offseason content wheeling and dealing. And with that, we'll see you next time. Everything you need is in the description.